sense of urgency. And that sense of urgency is essential. When I look around the globe, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and others are increasing their collaboration and their cooperation as their interests align against us. We see this clearly in Ukraine. While President Trump pushes for a peaceful resolution to a horrible war, China continues to fund Putin's war machine. Iran continues to supply technology and weapons. And North Korean combat troops remain in Russia on Ukraine's border. And of course, there's a confluence between Russia, Iran, and Venezuela and their dark fleet of oil tankers that is helping to fund the war. In the Arctic and the high north, we see a similar trend. Russian and Chinese vessels are conducting more and more joint patrols. Chinese icebreakers and research vessels are in Arctic waters, and their research is not for peaceful purposes. It's to gain a military advantage. Russia, meanwhile, continues testing advanced capabilities in the Barents Sea. As new shipping routes emerge and new resources are discovered, the Arctic only grows in strategic importance. And all of this comes in the midst of an increasing hybrid threat: airspace violations, GPS and GNSS interference, and the shadow fleet in the Baltic Sea threatening underwater infrastructure. In short, the Arctic, and Northern Europe by extension, has become a front line for strategic competition. Within NATO, Allied Command Operations, the command that SACEUR oversees, has taken steps to strengthen our deterrent posture, much of which is oriented in that northern region, here. Just over a year ago, we established Baltic Sentry, an activity to protect that critical underwater infrastructure. In this past fall, we developed Eastern Sentry to increase our agility and further integrate our air and missile defenses on the eastern flank. More recently, in just the past month, we've realigned the boundaries of our joint commands, and now Joint Force Command Norfolk brings together NATO's activities in the Arctic under one command, allowing us to better defend all allies in Europe, in the Arctic, and the strategic approaches to North America. Allies are also working together closely on Arctic issues. At a recent Arctic Chief of Defense conference, we agreed to increase our understanding of activity in the Arctic, to enhance our domain awareness, and to increase our own activities and exercises in the high north. In short, military cooperation in this region has never been stronger. Moving forward, we intend to expand our intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, to improve our infrastructure and logistics for military mobility, and to strengthen our presence with Arctic-capable forces, many of those forces here in Sweden. With 7 of 8 Arctic nations inside the alliance, the other one being Russia, we will and we can get this right. Now, what's Sweden's role? As our newest ally, Sweden is instrumental. 2 years in, and you have already demonstrated exceptional commitment. You're the framework nation for our forward land forces in Finland. You're filling staff roles throughout my command, especially in critical positions at Joint Force Command in Norfolk and our Training and Assistance Command for Ukraine. You've contributed capabilities for operations and our vigilance activities across the entire European continent. You're a model for societal resilience. And Sweden is among the top supporters of Ukraine through the prioritized Ukraine requirements list, the Pearl, and a number of other venues. In short, Sweden is setting an example for all of us, and I truly appreciate your leadership. Now, as you're aware, transforming for the future and strengthening deterrence takes resources, a lot of resources. But while the Defense Investment Pledge at the Hague Summit in 2025 was historic, money alone is not a deterrent. We need the equipment, the weapons, and the munitions to start showing up in our allied military inventories. And this is where Sweden really stands apart. You have an incredibly strong industrial base, and there are steps that we can use across the alliance to learn from your experience. As governments remove barriers to work with defense firms, you're doing that here in Sweden, and we can learn from you. As you build transatlantic partnerships or pan-European partnerships or global partnerships with other like-minded nations, we can learn from you. And as you create opportunities for co-production and co-development, we can learn from Sweden. Sweden's industrial base is already doing these things and demonstrating that it can deliver. Yesterday, I heard the phrase "made with Sweden" in stark contrast to the other phrase that you might have chosen, a more protectionist phrase of "made in Sweden." This is fantastic. All allies would benefit from adopting this mentality, as a rising tide lifts all boats. So, in conclusion, everything I'm seeing from Sweden, the collaboration, the modernization efforts, the defense investments, the health of your defense industry, frankly, I think someone gave you all a checklist for being a model ally, and you just went down and started checking it off. So it's a real privilege to be here today, with you today with a model ally who's doing so much for the alliance, and I truly look forward to your questions.
Thank you. As you said, the Arctic region is of growing strategic importance. Would you say that there is an immediate threat to NATO territory right now?
I don't think there's an immediate threat to NATO territory right now. One of the reasons is, there's a couple of reasons. First, Russia is committed in Ukraine. The vast majority of their forces are dedicated to that effort. Their war economy is dedicated to that effort. And that's one of the reasons that we owe so much to Ukraine as they stand on the front lines of European defense. Russia also is aware of the incredible power of the alliance. And we have deterred the alliance from conventional attack for 76 years and will continue to do so in the future because of the strength that we have, the strength that is there today that will be even better tomorrow and even better the day after that. Russia knows that it cannot afford to take us on.
We've heard a lot lately about activity from Chinese or Russian vessels close to NATO territories. Would you say that it's not a reason to really see this as an immediate threat today?
Well, it will grow into more and more of a threat. So as I mentioned, as the ice recedes and there's more and more access up there, we certainly see Russia and China working together. We have had Chinese vessels patrolling with Russia, not only on the north coast of Russia, but also north of Alaska and near Canada. And like I mentioned in my remarks, it's not for peaceful purposes. They're not studying the seals and the polar bears. They're out there doing bathymetric surveys and trying to figure out how they can counter NATO capabilities on and under the sea. So that's something that could grow very quickly, and we need to be mindful of it and ready for it.
This might be a tricky question, but I think you understand that there is an uncertainty if the US national strategy, along with the recent statements from President Trump, has changed anything when it comes to NATO priorities.
Well, I won't comment on the political dimensions of recent rhetoric. It's not my place to do that as a military officer. But I will just observe the readout from the North Atlantic Council, where all of our permanent representatives from the 32 nations get together to discuss thorny issues. Those dialogues continue in Brussels. They've been healthy dialogues from what I've heard. And I think that's the most important thing. Members of the alliance who've worked together for so many years are talking together and working through these thorny issues.
You had this role for about 6 months now. Has your priorities in any way changed?
Is it only 6 months?
Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way.
No. It's actually been truly a fantastic 6 months. One of the best jobs that exists on the planet, in my view, and I've truly enjoyed it. My priorities have been pretty consistent. I've got several of them. One of course, I'm focused on taking care of our people, your people, that you contribute to the alliance and to our missions. They are the bread and butter of what we do every single day. And Michael Clausen and I actually got an opportunity to go see some of the Swedish troops yesterday. Swedish Marines who I mean, some of the most impressive young women and men that I've seen in uniform throughout my almost 33 years of service. So you all ought to be incredibly proud of what those young people are doing for your country and for the alliance. So we need to take care of them. We need to focus on them, get them the equipment and the capabilities that they need. My second focus is warfighting readiness. You know, the alliance is ready to fight tonight. But we need to continue to hone our readiness and be more and more ready every single day. That's headquarters readiness, making sure we have the processes and capabilities in place to do the things we need to do. It's also individual unit level readiness. Michael's focused on that here in Sweden. All of the chiefs of defense are, and I am as well. And it's by being ready that we continue to maintain that deterrence that I talked about.
Speaking about equipment, you also said that we need the material, and it's time to start for them to show up. I mean, the demand is enormous all over Europe. How much a challenge is that the military material needed won't be delivered, so to speak, in time?
Yeah, it's a significant challenge, and as I go around, I try to highlight ways that I think we can meet that challenge and we can rise to it. The first is the money does have to be there. It is a prerequisite to send a signal to industry to make the investments they need to increase production capacity. So that is a prerequisite, and I don't want to belittle it. It's incredibly important. But for the first time in the alliance, money's now not the problem. The problem is capacity. So as we think about our investments at the national level, using the 1.5% to bolster organic defense capabilities could be one option. As I mentioned, Sweden's a great example of being able to build a defense industrial base that works across Europe and across the Atlantic, and with defense industry in friendly countries like Japan and South Korea, the broader West, if you will. And that kind of resiliency in our supply chains and our resiliency as we work together, I think, benefits all of us.
One last question on this subject. The war in Ukraine has clearly shown the necessity of flexibility when it comes to military capabilities. On the same time, your own capability targets works with, I think, 4-year cycles and then maybe decades to implement them. How big a challenge is that today?
Yeah, it is a challenge. There's a couple of things that we think about. First, you're exactly right. Ukraine is showing that we need a pace of innovation on the battlefield. So when we talk about capabilities, here's one that I'm trying to get my mind around, and the great thinkers in here can probably help us. One of our capabilities needs to be adaptability. So we need to build programs that are able to adapt and modify and innovate over time, just as the Ukrainians have built. So think about how to build that in to what we're doing. With regard to the NATO capability targets, this is the shopping list that the Supreme Allied Commander for Transformation and then my position work together to give nations so that we have a coherent set of capabilities across the 32 countries. Those capability targets do come on a 4-year cycle, but as an example, we'll say we need Sweden to provide a mechanized brigade. What Sweden then needs to do is think about, what does a mechanized brigade mean in 2026? It's probably not what it meant in 2016 or 2006. And so you have the flexibility within those capability targets to think about the composition of those and the technology that you apply to those capability targets. And we'll help you think through that along with our fellow military leaders across the alliance.
Thank you so much, General Grynkewich, for attending here today.
Thank you.
Och med det tar vi en